Okay.
Welcome to Yeshiva Daf. We are holding in Metzia Daf Dalid. Shir sponsor Linishmas Avi Akashon Le'Abasitzchok. We are in the top of the Dalid Daf, the fourth line. The Gemara says, actually it's the fifth line. The Gemara says the following. Where are we holding now in our sugya? The Gemara said, we're trying to figure out, we have a b'chia that said, you have two Eidim. The two Eidim come and tell us that Reuben lent money to Shimon. Shimon denies it. Comes the Eidim and say, no, Shimon, you do owe 50% of what Reuben claims. So the shaila is on the other 50%, does he do a shvur or not? That's what Reb Chia spoke about. Now, the Reb Chia wanted to bring a raya from our Mishnah, and that's what we got into the sugya. Where they asked, what is the makar? What is the source that we know that if Eidim are Mechayev a person of 50%, so the other 50% has to do a shvur. So more wanted to bring a raya from Hoidos Piv. When a person himself admits the 50%, so then he has to pay the other 50%. So we should learn Eidim from Hoidos Piv. Something more you can't learn from Hoidos Piv, because Hoidos Piv doesn't have a choshev azom. You don't have a way to be makrish, to be amazing. If a person admits something, nobody can take it away. So Gemara says, you know what, we're not going to learn from Hoidos Piv. We're going to learn from Eid Echad. What's Eid Echad? If one Eid comes and testifies that someone owes money, he has to do a shvur if he denies it. So you see, one Eid has shvur. So then we can't learn from there, because when one Eid is b'chai shvur on the money that he's testifying on. If an Eid comes and says, Shmuel, you owe money, he says, I don't. That money that the Eid is testifying on, that you do a shvur. But we're talking about doing a shvur on the other part. The Eid when testify you owe 50, you have to pay 50. The other 50, you have to do a shvur. So Gemara wants to bring a raya from Gilgul shvur. Gilgul shvur is a shvur that calls a shvur. I think Gemara said that's not a raya because that's a shvur bringing a shvur. So Gemara right now doesn't have a source. So that's what we're holding. We're trying to figure out what is the source that if Eidim or Mechayev someone on 50% of the money, he does a shvur on the other 50%. So it says the Gemara now, we're going back and forth. So Gemara now says, let's learn from his own admission. Malapi, we're just summarizing what we said in the previous daf. Shekeneinu back chasha. A piv you cannot deny. And echad yochiach. So we go right from echad. Sheyesh no back chasha, because you could deny it echad. Umechayev v'shvur. Mala echad shekenal ma shemeidu nishba. The echad, we know that the shvur goes in what he testifies. Says the Torah B'Eidin Shai Al Mashakofar Nishba. The shvur goes on what he denies, right? Because Betu Eidim, they say you owe 50. He does a shvur on the other 50. Piv Yerchiach. Let's go back to his. And that's how the Gemara goes. We're going to learn from Piv, you have a problem to learn from his own Ardah. You want to learn from Eidech, from Echad, you have a problem to learn from there. So we have, it goes back and forth. Chazar Adin. That's called Chazar Adin. Loi Reizeh ki Reizeh, V'loi Reizeh ki Reizeh. Meaning, I want to find the common denominator between the two things. If I see that by Eidech there's a shvur, and I see that by Hoidos Piv there's a shvur, I want to know what's the common theme between the two to learn to a third place. And that's the Gemara brings throughout Shas. I want to know the common denominator between the two. So the Gemara says like this. You can't say that what makes Eid Echad do shvur is the fact that the shvur is on the money that he's talking about, because by Hoidos Piv the shvur is what he's not admitting. You can't say that what makes the Hoidos Piv b'chai shvur is because there's no akosha, because you can't deny it. Because Eid Echad is a kosher. So you see, that's now what's causing the shvur to come. So what brings upon the shvur in this case is not what brings upon the shvur in this case. What brings upon the shvur in this case, not what brings upon the shvur in this case. What we wanted to say that brings the shvur. What's that tzad shows? What's the common denominator? Shall they taino kfirin by v'nishba? Everyone is a taino. There's someone who is demanding money, and the other one he's saying no. He's kafir. So also by Eidim, when there is a taino, a demand, and a kfir, a denial, the nishba, I'll learn from both together. I'll learn from the common denominator of both. Now, interesting thing over here that the Rishonim point out. What will be the common denominator between, which Eid Echad we're looking for? Are we looking for, when we're looking Hoidos Piv, And we're saying, let's compare that. Let's have a common denominator between Yodas Piv and when Eid Echad is Mechayev. When Eid Echad is Mechayev, are we talking about Echad Mechayev on the money that he's talking about? Or are we talking about Gilgul Shul, the money that he's not talking about? As we learned yesterday's daf. Well, how did the Gemara end by Eid Echad? When they say by Eid Echad, if he testifies that Shmuel owes money, he has to do Shul on what he's testifying. He says, well, yeah, because he's doing Shul on what he's testifying, not on something else. So I'll give you a case when he testified on something else, Gilgul Shul. Once you bring in one Shul, another Shul that Eid Echad didn't speak about at all. Because you can't look at Gilgul Shul because their Shul is Goy Rebbe's Shul. So now the question is, we learn a common denominator between Eid Echad and between Yodas Piv. Which Eid Echad are we learning from? Are we learning from the Eid Echad that is doing Shul on what he's testifying? Or are we learning from Eid Echad the Gilgul Shul? Rashi learned that we're learning from the Eid Echad who is doing Yodas Piv. So Rashi learns, as we'll see in a moment. So therefore, that's rational. Although we shouldn't point out, maybe not. The more took it away. The question really is just to understand the discussion here. When the Gemara went back and said, I can't learn from Gilgul Shul, do we go back now to Eid Echad, original Eid Echad, or we stay with the Gilgul Shul? That's the discussion over here in the Rishonim. In the Son of Kaminas, let's see if we'll see it. Says the Gemara, Malat said the Shosh, we can't learn from the common denominator between the two, Shekei lo zakafron. In both cases, we don't know that he's lying. Eid Echad goes to Shmuel and says you owe money. Maybe yes, maybe not. That's how Rashi learns. Lo zakafron, we're talking about Amash Shekofa, I know Muzakafron. Right? Because he's coming to say, what is he coming to now? What's the shua? The shua is on what the Eid Echad is testifying. So the Eid Echad says you owe, and he says, I don't know. On that shua, I don't know that he's lying about it at all. By Yodas Piv also. Person comes and says, you owe me 100. Answers the nitba, I owe only 50. We don't know that he's lying. What's the case by Eidim? Eidim comes, Reuben tells Shimon, you owe me 100. Shimon says, I owe 0. Come Eidim and say, no, you owe 50. So at least for the 50, I know he lied. So if I know you lied, maybe therefore you're not going to give him a shvua. Says he won't. 1 second. It's not enough to know that he's lying. I'm assuming because he's lying, he's a liar. He's a kafir. He's someone I cannot trust his testimony. I can't trust his shvua. He's saying something. I can't trust him. That's like one of the assumes right now. So when that's not exact, we learn this also in Bava Kamo. Someone who denies alvo, he is kosher leidus. Why is he kosher leidus? Because we're assuming that similar to what we learned in Daf Gimel, that a person is not really lying. So why is a guy comes and tells him, "Where's my money? You owe me money." And he says, "I don't owe you money," because he doesn't have money right now. So he wants to buy time. He's going to try to figure out the money later. But Pikado in Pasul Eidus. But Pikado in Pasul Eidus. As Rashi explains Pikado, talking about, Rashi points out, like we're going to see later, that Pikado we're talking about, that we know that Pikado was in his hand. So a person comes to somebody else and says, "Listen, I give you my watch. Do you have my watch?" And he says, "No." Why is he lying? He has it. He can just give it back. So he's a liar. He's a kafir. He's someone who's trying to trick, to steal. Mashain can buy, but in the case of Halvo, see, the guy's not such a liar, just he doesn't have money right now. So what we're saying, when a person denies money that he owes, doesn't make him a kafir, doesn't make, we're not going to trust the shua. So that's not a pircho, the fact that we found out that he really lied on one thing. So let's come and ask the question differently. Ma le'atzad ha'shovet shebehem shekeneinom b'toiras hazomo torei dim sheyesh b'toiras hazomo. So the more, I'll tell you what the thing is. By 2 Eidim, there is a zoma. What's a zoma? 2 Eidim come and say Reuben owes money, and you find out that they were Eidim Zayim. They weren't there, so they have to pay the $100 they want to mechai Reuben. But by those P, if you find out you're lying, there's no zoma, obviously. There's no kosher at all. By a dechod, you find out that he lied, nothing happens. Doesn't pay a zoyim. Because there's no zoyim there, there's just a kasha. So Rashi points out the idea of knas. Rashi says, knas. Why is Rashi pointing out knas? Never made dechod, you don't have a zom. So it might say as the K'tzois points out, and really the Machonim point out that the K'tzois, it's almost my favorite Shemambam. Ein dechod is no azomo if the ein dechod can't be chayav. Ein dechod comes and says to Reuben, you owe money. What does Reuben have to do? Do a shvur. And then there's no chiyuv on it. So even if he doesn't want to do the shvur, he wants to pay, the ein is not the one who mechayav. What happens if the guy cannot do a shvur? Because he's not trustworthy. He's a gazlan. In general, he's a thief. We don't trust his shvur. So then, the Eidechod is mechayev. Do you have a zoma in that case? The Rambam says you do have a zoma. Then the Eidechod will pay. Eidechod doesn't pay only when he's not the one causing the money to come out. But if he does cause it, there is a zoma. So maybe that's the reason Rashi says knas. Because by knas, Eidechod is not mechayev. Because there's no chiyuv. The knas can come only with 280. Says the Gemara on Kasha. Reb Chia Torah says zoma loy parich. We're not asking for Torah says zomo. Why not? So Rashi explains that Torah says zomo because at the end of the day, Eidechod is hakasha. And Eidechod comes and says you chayav. Comes someone says no, you're not chayav. So it's over, right? So yeah, you don't have the din of zomo to pay with the guy what you intended to do, but you still have you're going to take away, you're going to slug up the Eidechod. So to say the fact doesn't pay doesn't make his Eidu stronger or weaker. So what does the Gemara say? We're going to learn two Eidim from the Tzad HaShaveh of Eidechod and Piv. But Eidechod and Piv you have a shvur, so by two Eidim you also have a shvur. Hi, you come and tell me no, but by two Eidim you have a Zomo, so maybe it's different. No, by Eidechod you also have a way to deny, to basically to slug him up, to disqualify him. So you're not going to pay for it, but still the Eidu is the same Eidu, so you learn two Eidim from that Tzad HaShaveh. Okay, so now the Gemara concludes, how do we know what Reb Chia said, that if two Eidim testify 50%, on the other 50% you have a shvur. That's that. Says the Gemara, what is Reb Chia? What was the raya of Reb Chia? From our Mishnah. In our Mishnah, you have a person coming in, and he says, so each one is holding half. That's edus. So you have edus on one half, and the other half you give it to the other person, right? And you do a shvur. So you do a shvur on the other half. So you see from here that's the raya of Reb Chia, the two edus testify 50%, the other 50% you have a shvur. Says the Gemara, how can you compare our Mishnah to that case? There, in the case of Reb Chia, what's going on over here? Let's go back to the case. Reuben tells Shimon, you owe me $100. Comes Shimon and says, I owe you nothing. Comes to Eidim and say, no, Shimon, you owe $50. We know you owe 50 at least. Shimon has nobody who's helping him out. Reuben has Eidim that say that he's right, at least 50%. So there you have Eidim for what Reuben said, not for what Shimon. So how do we know there's no Eidim for Shimon? The Abuli said if there would be Eidim for Shimon, the Loive, Shimon is the Loive. To learn masculine, he doesn't owe any money. You want to make sure if I have it, then I have two Eidim say that you owe money, 15 the other two say that he doesn't. So he won't do a shvur. But in this case, there's Eidim for both. In this case, you have Eidim for you have Reuben and Shimon holding on to Atelis. And you say each one is holding on 50%. It's Anan Tzadi that probably Reuben owns half and Shimon owns half. Very good. So therefore, the Anan Tzadi is for Reuben, you have an Anan Tzadi for Shimon, they both have Eidim. That's why here you have shvur. Right? Sorry, that's why here. That's why here, even here you have shvur. If you're like Mishtabu. Right? So the Gemara is saying you bring a raya from us, it's not exactly the same case. And therefore, so the you can't compare the two cases to each other. As Rashi says over here. Right? And in our case, in other words, in Reb Chia's case, an exact same case by Reb Chia. If you would have two Eidim for the Loiv, would you do shvur? No, Reb Chia never required shvur if if Shimon has Eidim, he does only $50. He only, if there's no Eidim, and you know $50 he owes, then the other $50 does shul. But in our Mishnah, even if you have Eidim Tibul, you're still doing you still have to have shul. So our case is not like a Bechia. Says the Gemara, Elaki, Remetana, two no Eidim Bechia. You're right. Our Mishnah is not compared to a Bechia. Bechia is a different case. It's a different case. Our law is different than a case that I don't know what happens. More than before Jorah the Amoina. Here we have a Taina Tviyah. If you say that he doesn't know anything, there's no Tviyah. Here they're both holding on to Atalas. But the Gemara says, so Akiva Taina Tu Eidim Bechia means Bechia had another member. And then he brought a right from our Mishnah. What's the other member? The Omar, Eidim Bechia Eidim. The Omar Bechia means money will be Yotcho. Bechia says, when it comes to Shimon, it says you owe me money. What do you mean? Shimon says, no, I owe only 50. But he adds here one more word. Ve'elach. Here it is. Take it. Right here, take it in your hand. Chayov. Chayav Mishvur. Mataymo heilach nami kemoy de mitzvah tayne dami. Heilach doesn't make a difference. We'll explain this in a moment. Heilach, the fact that he says take it right now doesn't make any difference. It's moed de mitzvah. He says you owe 100. He says no, I owe only 50. The fact that he says take doesn't make a difference. And he's just doing shvur. V'tana tuno, we bring a riot from our Mishnah. What's the riot from our Mishnah? Shtayim is two people holding on to a talis. Tafis anan tzadi. Here you have two people holding on to a talis. If each one is holding it, anan tzadi, my tafis heilach. In other words, how does it work? Reuven and Shimon holding on to a talis. So we're saying right away, Reuven will take $50. We will take half the talis and do a shvur. And the other half is giving to Shimon, it's a heilach, take it. Like, in other words, when we're dividing, when Beis is giving half to Shimon, you're taking it right away, that's heilach. Viktani Shovei said there's a shvur. Even in the case of heilach, even when you give it right away, you have a shvur. So that's the right from our Mishnah. Yeshiva says, no. Heilach patur. When you give it the thing right away, you patur. My time, what's the reason? Kivan do heilach, when the giver says take it, Han zuze the kamoy de v'kavayu, the money that he admits. Kiman dem nakid lehu mal de dami. It's as if the Malva already took it. It's as if it's already in the hands of the Malva. The other 50 doesn't agree, doesn't admit. Hilkach leika oidos mikzas ataino. Therefore, there's no oidos mikzas ataino. So what does Rashi say in the Svar? The Svar of Eilach is, when Reuben goes to Shimon and says, you owe me $100. Shimon says, 50, here it is, take the 50. We'll get to it in a moment. The other 50 is the only thing we're discussing right now. So the first 50 is out of the picture. It's already given. So we're discussing only 50. Reuben says, you owe me 50. Shimon says, I don't owe you 50. It's not what you makes us. When you have Eilach. So the Gemara, okay, but what about our Mishnah? We just said that our Mishnah is like a Eilach. Yeah, but our Mishnah is not a Shua D'Oraiso, a Moedu Mikzas. As we learned at the top of Gimel Dalef, what is the Shua over here? It's a special Kos Chachamim. People should not go and grab someone else's chayfetz. That's the Kos. It's not a Shua. What do you want to bring a riot from here to a Moedu Mikzas, which is Shua D'Oraiso, Qze? Says the Gemara, Hidach, in the Kos Chachamim, you're right, it's a Kos Chachamim. Umiu, you want to tell me that in the din d'oraisa when we're doing mikzas, you're chayav when you say heilach. So Rabbanan made their own shvur, but it needs to be similar in the same framework and the same structure of a shvur d'oraisa. And like, oh, if you want to tell me d'oraisa, you're potter. So Rabbanan will make a shvur that you don't have such a shvur d'oraisa. In other words, what is the Gemara saying? We're saying Rabbanan won't create a new shvur that is out of thin air. This is a side always at the end of Rabbanan. Rabbanan, when they make a new thing, it's comparable to the D'Oraisa. So if you do D'Oraisa, the shvur, when you have Heilach, there's no shvur. So with the Rabbanan, when you have Shtayim Mitzvah Mitzvah, and after it goes straight to the guy, it's like a Heilach, there should not be shvur. Even though the Rabbanan have a reason to say a takana, they won't make a takana which completely doesn't work in the framework of the D'Oraisa. So that's the right, but the D'Oraisa, Heilach, you don't have a shvur. That's why the D'Oraisa by Heilach, you do have a shvur. Now, what's the idea of Heilach? Heilach means I'm giving it to you. If you look at Rashi, Rashi says, Ve'elach, lo yoitzesim v'hem shlecha b'chol mokum shehem. I never spend it. And this is an opening to a big machlokes rishonim. When does Heilach work? Some rishonim learn The Halach is only by Picadon. Halach means the person comes and says, I deposited by you 2 wallets. He says, here's one of them. So Halach means it really never left your possession because I was just keeping it, take it back. By Alva, according to these Rishonim, there's no Halach. Because the money I'm giving you, you gave me, the minute I gave the money, the minute the lender gave the money to the borrower can do with the money whatever he wants. So it's not by the hands of the mouth. That's what many Rishonim learn. Rashi, as we see over here, he learns that depends which milvah. Some alvos, if you did not spend the money yet, so then it's still considered to be in the hands of the lender. Once you spend the money, so then it's not, even though you're giving back new money. But as long as you didn't spend, you still have in the hands of the lender. That's what Rashi learns. And other Rishonim learn that even Bava, if he says, here's the money back, that's considered to be that's in your hand. Even though it's not the same money, it doesn't matter. When the middle giving back, it's considered to be Halach. And that opens up a big sug, which is called the sug of Halach. But this different sheet is in the Rishonim. Rashi over here tells us clearly, Halach is only money that you did not spend. Now it works for Halva. Says the more Metzia. What continues with the question? Sloim dinri. Meaning, the shtar, the document, says, this person owes sloim to somebody else. Or this person owns dinrim to somebody else. Different type of courts. The lender says, we didn't put a specified amount. I'll tell you what it is. It was 5 sloim. And the lawyer says, no, it was only 3 sloim. So the borrower was going to mitzvahs. The lender says you owe me 5. The borrower says I owe you only 3. So it's going to mitzvahs. Kiva says no, it's a Metzia. We'll see. The Gemara is going to explain the source of each one. Says, how does the Gemara start with? Why are we talking about 5 and 3? He said 5, I said 3. Why didn't you say 5 and 2? So what the Gemara is going to tell us is, whenever it says sloim means coins. Coins means at least 2. So 2, there's no way out of it. 2, the borrower will have to pay. But here the lender says it wasn't 2, it was actually 5. Says the borrower, no, but it was 3. So he's giving more than what the shtar said. Says the Gemara, because he admitted part of it. Not because he said 3. Because 3 means that he's asking for, he's admitting 1 more than the shtar says, than the shtar indicates. Hashtayim potter. Why? Because that's what goes in the shtar. The shtar is a kelach. When you're holding onto the shtar, it's as if you have the money. Right? Why shtar is halach? According to Rishonim that say that halach works in milvah, it makes a lot of sense. According to Rishonim that works only pikam, you have to say that shtar is different than the regular alvo. Vishramino, halach potter. You see from here the halach is potter, right? Because the only reason you have is because he admitted 3. So that's going to make sense. But if you would say 2, so then you would say he's potter. There's no way to make sense. Why? What do you mean 2? Because you have the shtar says I owe 2. So why is that going to make sense? Because the shtar says it's like halach. I'm giving it to you right away in your hand. So halach is not considered to be. I'm going to make sense. So you could say shtaim still chayiv. It's still considered moed mikzas, even though this halach, even though it's giving it back, it's considered to be moed mikzas. The high diktani shalosh reading says 3. La fuki with kivo to make sure the potter kamash the moed mikzas ataynu v'chayav. The only reason he said 3 is to take the rekivo. Rekivo said in that case is a mishavedo, and here the ones already giving us indication how to understand rekivo. Rekivo says he's giving more than he's supposed to. If you be silent, the shtar says 2. He wants to get more. It's a mishavedo. So it comes if Shimon Lazar and says no, it's continuing to be a moed mikzas. 3, 2, even by 2 is moed mikzas. That's the chiddush. It's moed mikzas u'v'chayav. So that's the losh of Shimon Lazar. Because moed mikzas, let me tell you something. It's a moed mikzas in nishma. That's not what Shimon Lazar should say. He should say much stronger. Meaning you're saying this. Everybody agrees then 2 is with 2 is moed mikzas. 3 is a chiddush that according to Kiva is a mishavedi. He says no, it's moed mikzas. So you say not only by 2 you should do a shvuah, also by 3 you should do a shvuah. It doesn't sound in the lashon. The lashon says in this case it's moed mikzas. You are potter in two. So you see the Heilach potter? No. The Heilach Chayav. Chayav Shani Ochad the Messiah Lishtoro. Here it's different because the star helps him. The star indicates two. So therefore what? So therefore in this case, the star doesn't say any coins. So it sounds like two. Minimum of stoim is two. So that's why by two you potter. Really, usually Heilach Chayav. It's still to be more than mitzvahs. The person says you owe me 100. He says, I owe you 50 and here it is. You're still more than mitzvahs. But here I have a star that seems to say like I'm saying. It will be two. So then we potter. If you say three, so you're already admitting that the Malva is saying that something's true, that the star is not how you read it. Now another reason. Another reason is, as we learned earlier, we also mentioned in Bava, when you have a karka involved over here, there's no shul. Here, when you have a star, the star takes away from the karka. So there's no shul in this case. We're sure to discuss what happens if it doesn't have karka. Right? There's a taste over here. Or there's no shibud. So, but what the Gemara is discussing is when you have a regular shtar and you have a regular shibud, you don't have a shvur. So he says a simple question. He says, so having a alvo, they have a shtar, you never have a shvur. Because you always have a karka. Always have shibud occurs. So he says we have to look at a case that there's no shibud or they use moichel the shibud. Right? Just understand that we're talking about, it's very, the karka makes the whole difference. So that was the Gemara brought a raya from the ratio from Lozer of Shimon. We have Shimon Lozer, sorry. Ika the Moisem Mesiva, something around from the end. Akiva says he's a Meshavedi, his pot. Time Odom Shalosh. Not because he said three. He's a Meshavedo, meaning he's admitting more than the star says. Hashtayim Chayo, but with two is Chayo. So the Gemara of Hashtar came out the Moidi Bokeh by star is considered to be Elach. That's more similar than before. The star says you owe two. So it says more loy. Loy lo evelach shtayim nami potter. Two you also potter. The high the ktani shalosh. When it says three lafukidim shum lozo doma and moedim says tani ave v'chayov. It's going to lafukid the first one doma. We said before, two you potter because the star helps you. Three you moedim says. He says no, you're not moedim says. You are a meisha veder. Kamashlam the meisha veder potter. In this case, you meisha veder potter. And the Gemara goes on and says more. Hachanayim mistav. That makes a lot of sense. The second day, the Shtayim Chayov. If you hold, you have in two. B'sholosh yechipotel Rebbe. How does he put him in three? A rumi kame'arim. So he's going to trick the system. So v'yamin Shtayim. If I say two, b'inish tebuyi. If I say two, I have to do a shvul. Ema sholosh ne'ave kamesh avedu b'ivta. I'll say three and it'll be potter. El shvami no Shtayim na'im potter. Oh, so what is more saying? We're saying it doesn't make sense. More really explaining Rabbi Akiva over here. Rabbi Akiva says that if he says three is a Mishavedo, he's saying more than the star says. It's not like a regular Moed Mitzvahs. Here you have a star that seems to say two. So you're adding more, it's Moed Mitzvahs. So the more, maybe you'll tell me that by two you are, do we want to tell you over here, that by two you chayav, maybe two you chayav, and that's a Halach. Because two, you're not a Mishavedo, you're not going to be more than the star says. So more first says, no, not necessarily. So more, I'll tell you more than that. It can't be that by two you chayav and three you potter. Because then, what's going to happen? Every guy, who goes to Shimon, it says Shimon. Look at the star. The star says you owe me slaying. That's at least two. And the latest Bava says you owe me five. So he does the cheshbon to himself. If I will say two, I'll have to do a shul. I'll say three, I won't have to do a shul. He's going to trick the system. So it can't be that by two you chayav and three you potter. Then nobody will say two. So it has to be two you also potter.
Does it make a difference if he hands them the two?
No, by shtar doesn't make a difference. I don't care if you're handing, you're not handing. The shtar is like giving the two. The shtar is like, you don't need more than that in the case of shtar. The question of shat in the sugya. Says the Gemara, Ela kash Rabchio. So it's a question of Rabchio. Because according to Rabchio, by Eilach Yichayev. And here you say you potter with the shtar. So Shani also become Messiah Lishtar. Same answer. Regular Eilach, like Binyam was mentioning, when you're giving in the hand. When you're giving in the hand. So there, you're Chayav. Because Maisa, you're not so strong. I'm giving it to you. It doesn't matter. Maisa, you're admitting partial. But when I have a shtar that really helps me, then I'm potter. Because the shtar really indicates what I'm saying is true. Inam, you should have a shtar shibuka kois. Another answer is what we just said before. Shtar is shibud kakores. The reason you don't do shua is because of the shtar. Not because the shtar helps you, but shtar takes you out from the qualification of having a shua. Says the Gemara, Metzia Bar Zutra Breder of Nachman. So Bar Zutra asked the question on the concept of the Eilach. Tana Kalim Vikakos. Person comes that says, you owe me Kalim and you owe me Kakos. You owe me vessels, you owe me Kalim, which is movables, and you owe me Karka, a land. So then, Oido be Kalim be covered Kakos. If he admitted the Kalim, but he denied the Karka. So, or Oido be Kakos covered be Kalim. He denied completely the Kalim and he was moed in the Karka. Potter. Why is he Potter? Because you don't have Shua by Karka. So here he's either admitting everything of the Metaltalim, or he's denying everything of the Metaltalim. The fact is moed in Karka doesn't make a difference because there's no moed in mixes by Karka. So the Gabi the Kalim, there's no moed in mixes. Hoidu mixes Karkois, Potter. Similar by Karkois. Let's say he says you owe me Karka, he says I owe you only 50% of the Karka. There's no moed in mixes by Karka. So you don't have a Shua. One mixes Kalim, Chayo. But if he told him, you owe me land, and you owe me kalim, and he says, I owe you only half the kalim. Oh, it's more than mixes than kalim. So he has a shua. Says him, well, now, diuk. Time with the kalim, because the karka lava shui. Not because the karka, he's denying the kalim, and the karka, or admitting the kalim. Karka, you don't have a shua. Kalim, the kalim, during the kalim, the kakores. But it will be a case of kalim and kalim similar to kalim and kakores. Chayav. What's the case of kalim and kalim? They're similar, the one of them is similar to kakores. Oh, that's the case. When you have a kli and a karka, the Gemara tells us the next step. Karka is eilach. Because karka means just go take it. It's right in front of you. You can't move a karka. So it's eilach. Kalim, so we were saying this. If you have a kli and a karka, and you're moed on the karka, now the kalim you pot, because by karka there's a special din d'oraisa that you don't have a shul. But what happens if you have kalim and kalim similar to karka? What's a kalim similar to karka? Eilach. Take it. It's right here. Right in front of you. Or if you call them according to something shiny, like a karka, then you will have chayav. Shvaner elech chayav l'chuyav over here, or raya the elech you are chayav like a b'chio. Similar loy. Loy loy elech kalim v'kalim nai potter. No. Really, the Bryce don't bring that deal. It could be we have kalim and kalim of elech, you still potter. Got the ketani kalim kakar, that's why we spoke about karka, you can speak about kalim. Hakamash b'lan, oy the mixas kalim chayav afal kakar. Oh, here's the chiddush. And this is what we have to emphasize. When it comes to Shimon, it says, you owe me two tables, and you owe me 2 lands. He says, I owe you only 1 table. Not another table, and not other lands. You have to do shvua on the other table, because there's more than mixes on the tables. So you already do shvua on the karka too. So even though you usually don't do shvua on karka, there's no more than mixes on the karka itself. But you have a moed mitzvah. If you're doing a shvua on the kalim, you do shvua on the karka. This is similar to the Gilgul shvuas before, but here it's called something else. It's called zoikikim. Because here Gilgul means you bring a shvua from a different case. Here it's the same case. But I would never make a shvua on karka alone. I make a shvua only because I'm doing shvua anyway on the metaltalim point. So that's the chiddush. Telling you, if you are completely denying the karka and admitting the kalim, or vice versa, denying the kalim and admitting the karka, then you don't have moed mitzvahs. But if you're admitting some of the kalim, you're going to do shua on the whole thing on karka too. That's the chiddush. That's why I have to say karka. Tell me you have shua on the karka. Hakamash only mixes kalim chayal avik hakos. My kamasho, what's the chiddush? Zoikikim. That's called zoikikim. That you're bringing shua on the whole thing. Tanina, we already have it. We know that. So the Baiso. Zoikikim and nechosu she'en le'em achayis al nechosim she'yesh le'em achayis. The nechosim have no achayis, which means metaltalim, movables. They bring a shua and nechosu she'yesh le'em achayis meaning karka. To do shvua. This is a quote of the Mishnah in Kiddushin. The Mishnah we're discussing now is the Mishnah in Shvuos. So we already know that. Why? So if that's the Kiddush, why have to say another Mishnah for that? Says the Gemara, Hocha Ikar Osama Agav Gro Naspo. Hocha means the Mishnah in Shvuos, Ikar. That's the second Shvuos, we did it in Shvuos, and that's what I'm speaking about. I'm giving you the dinim of Shvuos. So I tell you the din that Shvuah you have on Metaltim only, but if you have a karka with the Metaltim, you do Shvuah on that as well, Midin Zoikikim. There, in Kiddushin, we just spoke about different things of Metaltim and Kakars together. So we already mentioned, you should know there's another thing that Metaltim and Kakars can come together regarding the idea of the Shvuah. But that's not the main place. So the fact that it's mentioned twice in Shas is not a problem. One place is part of a list of things that Karka and Metal come together. That's the Kiddushin. And one is the main place. So therefore you could say that's the Chiddush. There's no Raya over here regarding the Sugya of Halach. The Sefer. So stop over here in this daf. The Gemara is going to continue now the next half of Amud to continue the Sugya of Halach. We'll do that in the next daf.